Precisely 3:12 a.m. on June 14th, the first sirens shattered the night sky over Tel Aviv. Within minutes, the neighborhoods of Ramat Gan and Bat Yam were plunged into chaos. Air raid alerts echoed off apartment blocks as civilians scrambled into underground shelters, stairwells, and basements. Above them, fire trails streaked across the horizon. Then came the explosions, loud, concussive, and merciless. There was no formal declaration of war, no televised speech, no final ultimatum. Just the unmistakable thunder of conflict unleashed. This was not a random rocket attack. It was coordinated, overwhelming, and, according to retired U.S. military analyst General Mark Hampton, designed to shock the Israeli defense doctrine to its knees. The spark? On June 13th, Israel launched a preemptive airstrike, Operation Rising Lion, targeting Iran's key nuclear infrastructure in Natanz, Isfahan, and on the outskirts of Tehran. According to sources cited by The Guardian and Jerusalem Post, the operation resulted in over 200 casualties, including members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, and nuclear scientists. Iran vowed retaliation and delivered within hours. More than 400 projectiles, including ballistic missiles and Shahed series drones, rained down on Israeli soil in what Tehran described as an opening wave. The impact was devastating. Apartment complexes were incinerated. Hospitals lost power. Haifa's oil refinery district erupted in flames. Israel's famed Iron Dome lit up the skies, but could not protect every neighborhood. No one could have anticipated the scale. Streets that just days ago buzzed with cafe chatter now lay silent under layers of dust, debris, and grief. Families were torn apart. Infrastructure crumbled. And for the first time in over a decade, the illusion of Israeli invulnerability was cracked wide open. Since its deployment in 2011, the Iron Dome has become a symbol of Israeli technological prowess, a near-mythical shield that boasts up to 90% interception accuracy against short-range threats. It has been widely praised by both Israeli citizens and international allies, particularly the United States, which has invested over $2 billion into the system's development and operational upgrades. News footage often shows its precision intercepts lighting up the night sky. Missile meets missile, vapor trails crossing in synchronized fury. But this time, that choreography faltered. The June 14th barrage from Iran wasn't launched by isolated militias or makeshift brigades. It was a full-state military response, calibrated, relentless, and designed specifically to test Israel's layered defenses. More than 400 ballistic, cruise, and hypersonic missiles were fired in coordinated waves, often in clusters aimed at overwhelming radar and tracking systems. According to Muhannad Shalom, a strategic defense analyst at the Doha Institute, the Iron Dome was never meant for this kind of attack. It's like trying to stop a flood with a garden fence. And the results show. While the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, claim that 90% of the incoming projectiles were intercepted, satellite imagery and on-the-ground reports tell a grimmer story. Missiles did get through. Multiple impact sites in Tel Aviv, Bat Yam, Haifa, and even near Ben Gurion Airport have been confirmed by third-party sources and civilian live streams. The consequences? Not just physical damage, but psychological erosion. For the first time in over a decade, ordinary Israelis are questioning whether the Iron Dome offers protection or projection. A shield is only as strong as what it can stop, and when residents see mushroom clouds on their own blocks, the gap between defense theory and reality becomes personal. Even worse, some argue the illusion of infallibility surrounding the Iron Dome may have lulled the nation into complacency, leaving shelters unmaintained, evacuation routes unclear, and false confidence in a system never meant for this scale of war. For over a decade, Israel's multi-layered air defense system has been touted as one of the most sophisticated in the world. The Iron Dome intercepts short-range rockets. The David's Sling covers medium-range threats, while the Arrow 2 and Arrow 3 systems are designed to intercept long-range ballistic missiles at high altitudes, even beyond the Earth's atmosphere. Together, these layers formed what Israeli military doctrine proudly called an aerial fortress. But on June 14th, that fortress cracked. Iran's offensive was neither haphazard nor technologically primitive. Instead, it was a calibrated barrage of mixed-range threats, featuring Fateh 314, Shahab 3, and the long-feared Sejil ballistic missiles, many believed to carry maneuverable warheads. According to Iranian state outlet Fars News, the attack also included hypersonic missiles, capable of reaching speeds over Mach 5 with erratic mid-flight maneuverability designed to confuse even the most advanced radar tracking systems. Among the most devastating strikes was the hit on Tel Aviv's Syria military complex, Israel's equivalent of the Pentagon. Long considered a high-security no-go zone, the fact that Iran was able to strike so deeply rattled even seasoned defense observers. This was not symbolic, said defense scholar Amos Harrell in Haaretz. It was surgical. It means Tehran has precision intel and the tools to act on it. Other critical sites were not spared. The Bazan oil refinery in Haifa erupted in a black column of fire seen for miles. The Weizmann Institute, a global hub for nuclear research in Rehovot, was also hit, as was an outer compound of the U.S. Embassy, prompting emergency evacuation of non-essential personnel. The layered defense didn't fail because it was poorly designed, argued Trita Parsi of the Quincy Institute. It failed because it was never meant to withstand the kind of sustained, multi-vector attack that Iran just launched. Even Israeli military insiders privately admitted to CNN that the Arrow system suffered delays in targeting due to signal congestion and radar saturation, terms that translate ultimately to missiles falling where they shouldn't. The human toll of this conflict is no longer a statistic. It's a national trauma unfolding in real time. As of June 22nd, official figures from the Israeli Ministry of Health confirm at least 24 civilian deaths across Tel Aviv, Haifa, Bat Yam, Tamra, and Rishon LeZion. Some victims died instantly, caught outside shelters when sirens failed to activate in time. Others perished slowly, trapped under the collapsed concrete of their homes or office buildings. Over 600 people are confirmed injured, many suffering burns, blunt trauma, and respiratory failure from dust inhalation and smoke. In Ramat Gan alone, local emergency services evacuated nearly 200 residents as apartment blocks lost structural integrity. In Tel Aviv, the number was even higher. 2,700 people relocated from buildings now deemed unsafe. Entire streets, once filled with cafes and corner stores, are now cordoned off, rubble-strewn zones under military control. One of the most alarming incidents occurred at Soroka Medical Center in Beersheba, where a Sejil missile triggered a chemical fire near the emergency wing. Over 50 staff and patients were treated for exposure to toxic fumes. The hospital now operates under a Code Black emergency protocol, diverting patients to outlying cities like Ashdod and Netanya. In Haifa, the Bazan oil refinery was engulfed in flames. Fuel depots detonated in a chain reaction visible from 20 miles away. Meanwhile, in Tamra, a residential missile strike claimed the life of a 42-year-old woman and wounded 13 others, including children. In Bat Yam, at least 60 buildings were damaged, several beyond repair. Among the dead, 2 school children sheltering beneath a stairwell when the blast struck. The economic cost is equally staggering. According to the Washington Post, Israel now spends over $285 million per night just on interceptor missiles and emergency logistics. Global oil prices have spiked by more than 10%, and regional stock markets are in free fall. But beyond geopolitics and economics, it is the human stories of broken families, shattered homes, and traumatized children that remind us this is not just war. This is loss, lived minute by minute, by people who did not choose this fight. As the missiles fall, so too do the barriers to misinformation and narrative warfare. In this modern conflict, missiles and media fly in tandem, and the battle over truth may be just as consequential as the war on the ground. Iran's narrative, as broadcast through Fars news agency and amplified by state-aligned platforms like Press TV, is one of technical dominance and retributive justice. According to Tehran, Iranian air forces successfully downed 3 Israeli F-35 fighter jets, employed Hajj Qasem hypersonic missiles, and struck Israeli command and control hubs with pinpoint accuracy. Video clips, heavily stylized and unverified, circulate showing alleged hits on military radar installations and blackened aircraft remnants. A senior IRGC commander even claimed that what we revealed was just the first wave. Israel, through IDF press briefings and outlets like The Times of Israel, has dismissed such claims as propaganda theater. A military spokesperson insisted the missiles used were variants of Russian Scud-B and Shahab-class missiles, not hypersonics. While acknowledging some damage, the IDF asserts that over 92% of threats were intercepted, and that most of Iran's launchers were neutralized within the first 18 hours of engagement. These dueling accounts have intensified the information fog. Analysts like Deborah Amos of NPR warn that truth is increasingly curated, not confirmed. Meanwhile, journalists on the ground report collapsed buildings, rows of funerals, and city blocks left without power, raising doubts about both governments' narratives. In a war where optics shape perception, the question isn't just what happened, but who gets to tell the story, and who the world chooses to believe. As viral footage of scorched neighborhoods and grieving families continues to flood social media, the global audience is left parsing fact from fiction in real time, with no trusted narrator in sight. In the chaotic hours following the first wave of Iranian missile strikes, an unexpected development caught the attention of international observers. The Wing of Zion, Israel's official presidential aircraft, was detected flying at low altitude over Athens airspace. Tracked by open-source aviation enthusiasts and later confirmed by Anadolu Agency, the jet had departed Tel Aviv under a special transponder code used during defense cooperation protocols between Israel and Greece. Almost immediately, speculation erupted. Had Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu quietly left the country as missiles battered civilian neighborhoods? Was this a routine diplomatic coordination or a political escape route? Neither the Prime Minister's office nor the Israeli Defense Ministry confirmed the aircraft's manifest, adding fuel to the fire. Israeli opposition figures seized on the silence. Yair Lapid, leader of the centrist Yesh Atid party, posted a scathing message on X, formerly Twitter. "You can't govern from 1,000 miles away. Not when families are burying their dead." The controversy taps into a deeper crisis of leadership. Netanyahu, already under intense scrutiny for his handling of judicial reforms and rising domestic unrest, now faces accusations of abandoning his people during one of Israel's most traumatic national emergencies in decades. Meanwhile, regional intelligence analysts have suggested a trilateral military contingency between Israel, Greece, and the United States may be in motion. relocation of key command staff, emergency refueling protocols, and the temporary staging of Israeli assets in Crete are among the rumored components. But to everyday Israelis huddling in stairwells or mourning lost loved ones, one question cuts deepest. Where was our leader when the sky fell? As the missile strikes stretch into a third day, Netanyahu's physical location has become a symbolic one, a reflection of trust fractured, and a leadership under siege not just by enemies, but by its own people. By June 16th, as global news cycles caught up to the intensity of the unfolding conflict, a fresh barrage rocked Haifa, Israel's third-largest city and a critical industrial hub. Dense black smoke rose from the Bazan refinery complex, which had already been targeted in previous waves. Emergency crews battled flames licking 30 feet into the sky while evacuating staff and surrounding neighborhoods. 5 people were injured, including refinery workers and first responders suffering burns and shrapnel wounds. But Haifa wasn't alone. The northern Arab-majority city of Tamra was hit next, this time by a mid-range Shahab missile that struck a residential apartment block. The explosion killed a 37-year-old schoolteacher, injured 13 others, and left a crater more than 2 meters deep in the middle of a school playground. The message was clear: nowhere is off-limits. In just 4 days, Israeli and Iranian strikes combined have taken over 230 lives in Iran, following the initial Israeli operation, and at least 24 lives in Israel, mostly civilians. Hundreds more are injured, thousands displaced, and entire neighborhoods resemble ghost towns. Cities like Tel Aviv and Haifa now live under 24-hour siren cycles, with families camped out in stairwells, subway stations, and underground garages. The regional dominoes are beginning to fall. Houthi militias in Yemen have reportedly joined the fray, firing drones toward Eilat, while Lebanon's Hezbollah signals readiness. Meanwhile, the G7, United Nations, and EU foreign ministers are holding emergency consultations in Geneva, Brussels, and New York, calling for restraint, but offering no clear roadmap. The human toll is no longer hypothetical. It is measured in blood, displacement, and fear. And this may only be the beginning. This is more than a clash between two nations. It is a crisis of our time, one that tests our faith in technology, our demands of leadership, and our moral standing as global citizens. Are we placing too much trust in technological shields? What happens when elected leaders disappear during crisis? And who protects the civilians, not the governments, when superpowers clash? If this documentary-style report moved you, share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for deeper, uncompromised reporting. The truth matters more than ever, especially in war.